Hello, and welcome to the Revolutionary Marriage Podcast. I'm Dr. Debi, and today we're diving into one of the most important and very often misunderstood dynamics in marriage: the roles of provision, protection, and communication. Now, if you've ever felt like your spouse just doesn't get it, or if you're wondering why he shuts down, or why she keeps talking long after you think you've solved the problem, stay with me, because that's what we're about to uncover, and it'll give you a fresh lens, one that can take your marriage from good enough to extraordinary. Provision, protection, and identity. Men love to provide for their wives. Always have. Always will. For centuries, a man's worth was tied to his ability to protect and provide for his family. And maybe, psychologically, that hasn't changed as much as we think. Now think about it. When you meet a man for the first time, what does he usually say? I'm an engineer. I run my own business. I'm in construction. His job isn't just what he does, it's who he is. And here's something women often miss. It's not simply that men dislike being financially supported by a woman. No, it goes deeper. For him, provision is tied to leadership and protection. If he's not out front leading, if she's racing ahead, then he can't protect her. And if he can't protect her, his efforts to provide lose their meaning. Now, ladies, think about what that feels like to him. He's pouring himself into his work, trying to create a secure life. But when you surge ahead without him, it's like saying, I've got this, I don't need you. It cuts to the very core of his masculine identity. Let me give you an example. David and Sophia were in their late 30s. Sophia's career skyrocketed. She was doing amazing things in her field. Now, David was proud of her, genuinely proud. But inside, he felt invisible. Every decision seemed to be hers. Every financial milestone, hers. He wasn't resentful of her success. He actually admired it. But he felt pushed to the sidelines. Sophia didn't see it at first. She thought she was helping their family by taking charge. But for David, it meant he wasn't needed. He couldn't protect her. He couldn't lead their home. And that wounded him more than he could say. When they learned how to realign their roles, valuing both her strength and his leadership, something powerful happened. Sophia exhaled. David rose up. And suddenly, they weren't running parallel anymore. They were walking side by side, each bringing their best. Now, women can step up, and often they must. I know, I've been there myself. There was a season when I was the sole provider for my family, and I did it. I made it work. But here's what I also learned. Women weren't designed to live in that state forever. When she's constantly in survival mode, she runs on adrenaline. And adrenaline, well, that's only meant for short bursts, for emergencies. It's not sustainable fuel. Men, by contrast, are fueled differently. Higher testosterone levels equip them to carry heavy loads longer. Now, that's not just my opinion, that's science. But when a woman is always the one wearing the pants, her body and her soul pay the price. She becomes exhausted, not only physically, but emotionally, relationally, spiritually. Does that sound familiar? Maybe you felt it yourself. Maybe you're feeling it right now. Michael and Grace were in their 50s. Grace had been running the show for years, managing the finances, scheduling every detail, keeping the family afloat. Michael had stepped back, partly because she was good at it, partly because he thought that's what she wanted. But over time, Grace began to resent it. She longed to rest, to feel protected, to trust that someone else was carrying the load. When Michael stepped back into leadership, when he began initiating decisions, planning for their future, Grace softened. Now, she didn't lose her strength, but she gained freedom, and their marriage gained joy. Nowhere are these differences more obvious than in communication. Let me tell you about Mark and Elena. Elena loved telling stories. Long, detailed, heartfelt. For her, talking was connection. For Mark, listening was about finding the point. Each sentence to him should deliver the bottom line. But after 10 minutes, he was worn out, scanning for something to fix. Elena thought he didn't care. Mark thought she never stopped. Both felt unseen. Does that sound like anyone you know? Maybe you've had that same conversation in your own kitchen. Once Elena learned to give him the headline first, "I just want to share this, no fixing required," Mark relaxed. And once Mark learned to listen without trying to solve, Elena felt cherished. That one small shift changed the rhythm of their whole relationship. And here's the bigger truth. Women bond through words. As little girls, we whispered secrets to our best friends. That's how we knew we were close. We carry that pattern into adulthood. But men don't bond that way. They actually use fewer words, not because they don't care, but because their goal is to relay information. Understanding that difference can save a marriage. At the end of the day, almost every man I've worked with, yes, even those in crisis, wants one thing: for his wife to be happy. That's his bottom line. Think about that for a second. He may not always show it the way you want, but his deepest desire is to see you smile. When he gets it right, it fuels him. He wants to do even more to protect you, to provide for you, to solve real problems. Your happiness is his reward. But here's the tragedy. When conflict enters, he often gets stuck. He hates arguing. He may stonewall, that is, shut down to avoid escalation, or he may give in, thinking it will keep the peace. But when he gives in too often, he loses the very power he needs to love you well. That's emasculating. And when she races ahead, dismissing his role, she loses too. She loses the joy of resting in his protection. But when both embrace their design, when she's cherished and he's respected, the marriage takes on a different rhythm. Picture this. She feels safe, radiant, cherished. She actually glows. She laughs more easily and she trusts him. And when he sees that, something awakens in him. He wants to rise higher, go further, carry more. He steps into his role with confidence. That's the dance of romance. When she wins, he wins. When he wins, she wins. It's not a tug of war, it's synergy. It's the kind of uncommon love story that doesn't just survive, it thrives. That's what today's episode has been all about. Understanding how provision, protection, and communication intertwine in marriage. When both partners lean into their God-given design, marriage shifts from survival to synergy, from good enough to extraordinary. So here's my encouragement for you this week. Take one small step. If you're a wife, let him lead in something, even something small, and see how he responds. If you're a husband, listen to her story without trying to fix it, and notice how she lights up. Thank you for joining me on the Revolutionary Marriage Podcast. If this resonated with you, I'd love for you to keep journeying with me. You'll find resources and coaching opportunities at revolutionarymarriagecoaching.com. And remember, love isn't about perfection, it's about partnership. And when you discover that rhythm, marriage becomes truly extraordinary.